Dobro večer svima, dobrodošli na završnu sesiju i glavno predavanje u okviru ovogodišnjeg simposijona Teologije u javnoj sferi, koje će nam održati uvaženi gost, profesor Lucian Turčescu sa Univerziteta Concordia u Montrealu u Kanadi. Naslov njegovog predavanja imali ste prilike da vidite, a on glasi Religija i Evropa nakon pada gvozdene zavese. Pre nego što prepustimo reč profesoru, ja ću vas samo u nekoliko rečenica informisati o tome koga imamo čast da čujemo večeras. Profesor Lucian Turčescu završio je osnovne studije i magistarske studije teologije u Rumuniji. Studija je okončao radom na temu Hristologija Svetog Kirila Aleksandrijskog. U okviru tog rada on je proizneo i prevod na rumunski jezik dela Kirila Aleksandrijskog koje se tiče ovoploćenja jedinorodnog. Nakon toga on je doktorirao u Kanadi na temu koncept božanskih ličnosti Svetog Grigorija Niskog. To je što se tiče njegovog školovanja. Još neki podaci u vezi sa njegovim životom i radom. Kao što sam rekao, dakle, profesor Turčescu je profesor u okviru odeljenja za teološke studije Univerziteta Concordia u Montrealu. On je bio i dekan, to jest rukovoditelj ovog odeljenja u periodu od 2011. do 2016. godine. Dugo godina je bio šef postdiplomskih studija na ovom univerzitetu. Pre toga radio je i na univerzitetu Francis Xavier. Autor je mnogo knjiga i dela, navešćemo samo neka od njih. To su, na primjer, Pravda, sećanje i nadoknada u Rumuniji, zatim Crkva, država i demokratija u širećoj se Evropi, recepcija i tumačenje Biblije u kasnoj antici, religija i politika u postkomunističkoj Rumuniji, Grigorije Niski i koncept božanskih ličnosti, Dimitro Staniloaje, predanje i modernost u teologiji. Osim, da kažemo, ovo striktnog akademskog rada, profesor Turčescu je takođe i koeditor, odnosno član uređivačkog tima magazina Journal of Ecumenical Studies. On je takođe i istraživačkog centra za prirodne nauke i humanističke nauke Kanade i još mnogo toga, prosto da ne oduzimamo vreme, daćemo šansu profesoru da vam se obrati. Samo da podsjetim na tehnički format predavanja. Dakle, prvo će profesor proiznati svoje predavanje koje će potrajati otprilike 45 minuta. Oni koji nisu u mogućnosti da razumeju engleski jezik pratit će pisani prevod ovde, a nakon toga imat ćemo otprilike još toliko vremena da postavljate profesoru pitanja. So, Professor Turčescu, once again, welcome. It is a great honor to have you here with us tonight, and the floor is yours. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. You said about 45 minutes.
Yeah, around.
Your Eminences, dear Reverend Fathers, dear professors and friends, thank you very much.
Vaša preosveštenstva, dragi profesori, dragi oci, dragi prijatelji, hvala vam mnogo.
Thank you very much for this invitation which honors me and my university.
Hvala vam puno na pozivu koji čini čast meni i mom univerzitetu.
Special thanks to Bishops Dimitrije, Bishop Grigorije, the conference organizing team.
Posebno se zahvaljujem vladikama Dimitriju i Grigoriju i organizacionom timu ovog simposijona.
Especially Reverend Professor Vladan Perisic and Professor Marko Vilotic, who are putting together this amazing conference.
Naročito profesoru Vladanu Perišiću i Marku Vilotiću za organizaciju ove konferencije.
Also, please receive brotherly and sisterly greetings
Takođe molim vas da primite bratske i sestrinske pozdrave
from His Eminence Ioan Casian,
od strane njegovog preosveštenstva Jovana Kasijana,
the Bishop of the Romanian Orthodox Episcopate of Canada, my bishop.
rumunskog pravoslavnog episkopa u Kanadi, odnosno profesorovog episkopa. Hvala.
Thank you. The phrase Iron Curtain was first used by the former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill in a speech at Fulton, Missouri, United States in 1946, when he said of the communist states, "From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent." The phrase was then taken to represent a political, military, and ideological reality upheld by the Soviet Union after the end of World War II, in order to protect itself and the countries that fell under its sphere of influence from Western capitalist ideology. Built by the Soviets to surround and isolate West Berlin in 1961, the Berlin Wall became a physical symbol of the Iron Curtain, and its collapse under pressure from the street protests in November 1989 enforced the view that the curtain came to an end. Indeed, the communist regimes of Central and Eastern Europe collapsed in a domino effect that began in June 1989 in Poland and ended with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. After briefly presenting communist-era persecution, this chapter considers religion in Europe after 1989 by looking into several important issues such as religious freedom and revival, the way in which churches have dealt with their communist-era collaboration, sexuality and religion, nationalism and religion, religious education in public schools, as well as religion and refugees. Most of the former communist countries are members of the European Union. So first is communist persecution of religion. During the communist period, religious freedom varied significantly from country to country, from religious group to religious group, and from early to late communism. In predominantly Christian Orthodox countries like Russia, Ukraine, Romania, and Bulgaria, the communists understood that in order to impose their ideological and policy choices, they had to eliminate Western religious influences, including those of the Roman and Greek Catholic churches, as well as Protestantism. After also quickly eliminating the anti-communist opposition within majority Orthodox churches by resorting to massive arrests and mock trials, the communists chose to collaborate with the majority Orthodox churches while marginalizing the Catholics and Protestants by curtailing their freedom of religion, abrogating concordats the Vatican had signed with those countries before 1945, closing down Catholic monasteries and theological schools, banning Catholic orders, imprisoning ministers who refused to collaborate, and limiting missionary and social activities. The most persecuted were the Greek Catholics, on order from Moscow and with the wide support of local Orthodox churches, which saw the occasion as a long overdue moral compensation for having lost part of their flocks and places of worship to Catholicism. Communist authorities disbanded Greek Catholic churches in Ukraine, 1946, Romania, 1948, and Czechoslovakia, 1950. Greek Catholic priests and bishops were given the option to convert and become either Orthodox or Roman Catholic, or face imprisonment. Many of them chose the latter and never came out alive from prisons and forced labor camps. In predominantly Catholic Poland, the communists sought the collaboration of the Roman Catholic Church, which could not be eliminated too easily because of its position as a folk church. Collaboration was never a partnership of equals, since the communist authorities tried to divide, control, and humiliate the church by introducing anti-religious subjects in the school curricula, forbidding most religious periodicals, censoring other religious publications, and adopting overt anti-religious legislation. Despite hostility toward religion, the authorities asked for the Catholic Church's support during the Polish anti-communist upheavals of 1956, 1970, 76, and 80. The election of Cardinal Wojtyla as Pope John Paul II in 1978 was key to eventually bringing down communism in Europe. As Pope, he supported the Polish anti-communist opposition, especially the Solidarity movement and its leader, Lech Wałęsa, who later became the first post-communist president of Poland. Although world attention was focused on Poland and its dominant Roman Catholic Church, communist authorities continued to act brutally against that church and even ordered the murder of the Solidarity chaplain Father Jerzy Popieluszko in 1984. Religious freedom and revival after communism. After the fall of the Iron Curtain, the region experienced a religious revival due to the newfound religious freedom. As Stephen Soper explained, quote, "After decades of communist rule, state-sponsored anti-religious campaigns, and the certain claims of social scientists that modernization meant the inevitable demise of religion, religious sentiment did not disappear in Eastern Europe. Despite efforts by the now discredited communist regimes to dismantle faith, religion re-emerged in the region as a potent social and political force. Religion offered a meaningful ideology that helped fill the void created by the popular rejection of communism, and religious groups in Eastern Europe gained a level of political legitimacy that they had not enjoyed in Western Europe for more than a century." End of quote. The advent of democracy brought about an unexpected religious revival in countries belonging to the former Soviet bloc. People flocked to churches, mosques, and synagogues to celebrate the newly acquired religious freedom of worship. Religious services started being broadcast on national television and radio. Priests were increasingly present on any imaginable occasion to provide blessings, to legitimize political careers, and to perform services, and churches demanded to play a role in shaping the region's new democracies. Ever since the early 1990s, levels of religiosity in the region have known their peaks and valleys. The most recent comprehensive survey of religiosity in the region in Central and Eastern Europe by the respected US Pew Research Center reveals an interesting picture, with a large majority of the population in the region considering itself religious, while also displaying low levels of religious observance, which these surveys measure by looking at church service attendance on a weekly basis. Czechia and Estonia in particular stand out in terms of atheism, with 25% and 9% of citizens respectively identifying themselves as atheists, and 46% and 35% identifying their beliefs as nothing in particular. But then, at the other extreme, one finds Poland and Romania, where religiosity levels remain close to 80% well in the 2000s. All other countries fall somewhere in between these two extremes. Dealing with the past. The plight of the post-communist Christian churches is somehow similar to the plight of the early Christian church, that for a long period was not officially recognized and was heavily persecuted until the 4th century, only to become legal and to gain unprecedented privileges under Constantine, Emperor Constantine. We would like to use this analogy to explain the situation of religion after the fall of the Iron Curtain. Before the Edict of Tolerance of Milan of 313, which guaranteed legal status for Christianity, the early Christian church had lived through terrible persecutions, which left serious and ugly scars onto what was considered to be the body of Christ. Forced to surrender, tradere in Latin, their Bibles to the Roman authorities and to offer sacrifices to pagan deities, some Christians resisted, were tortured, survived, and came to be known as confessores in Latin, while others died and came to be referred as martyrs, martires in Latin. Still other Christians, including some of their leaders, the bishops, gave in to the persecutor and came to be referred as lapsed and traitors, lapsi and traditores. After the legalization of Christianity, when the issue of collaboration with or resistance to the persecutor was raised, religious leaders such as Bishop Donatus of Carthage, first half of the 4th century, insisted that only the pure Christians, those who did not collaborate, could be members of the Church of Jesus Christ, a doctrine that was eventually labeled a heresy and rejected by the Church under the influence of Augustine of Hippo. Also in the 4th century, Christianity gained numerous privileges granted by Emperor Constantine I and his successors as moral reparations owed by the empire to the new religion. In 380, under pressure from the church and motivated by the idea of imperial unity through uniformity, Emperor Theodosius I, who reigned between 379 and 395, issued the decree Cunctos Populos, which declared that only Orthodox and Catholic Christianity was the official religion of the empire. An issue Eastern European churches have faced after the collapse of the communist regime has been societal reconciliation, truth and healing of the wounds caused by human rights abuses perpetrated by the communist authorities. This was in a way similar to what happened in the 4th century, following the Roman persecution of Christianity. The opening of the communist secret archives and the testimonies published by both victims and victimizers have gradually revealed the complex relations between churches and the communist state. Many priests, bishops, and pastors were unmasked as former collaborators with the communist secret police. In an unchristian manner, they informed on their parishioners or colleagues, extracted information through the secret of the confessional, and handed it over to the secret police, and even recommended that fellow citizens who opposed the communist system be sent to jails, labor camps, forced domicile, or psychiatric hospitals. Days before the ousting of President Nicolae Ceausescu in Romania on December 25th, on Christmas Day 1989, Patriarch Teoctist Arapașu of the Romanian Orthodox Church and the Synod sent a telegram congratulating the dictator for his predictable re-election at the helm of the Romanian Communist Party, and thus implicitly endorsing his brutal repression of the anti-regime demonstrations in the city of Timișoara. In the aftermath of the 1989 revolution, the controversial telegram came to haunt Teoctist and his church. On the 18th of January 1990, it led to his resignation, because he recognized that he lacked the courage to confront Ceausescu's regime, which was a form of sultanism and totalitarianism. Shortly thereafter, the Synod recalled Patriarch Teoctist, invoking a technicality in order to nullify his resignation. Many Synod members felt tainted by collaboration and feared they too would have to resign. Believers forgave the Orthodox prelates for their collaboration, but the issue returned to the public arena in 1999, when legislation was adopted to open the secret police files of Romanian citizens, including church leaders. The file openings pried open the extent of collaboration by the clergy. Church leaders have been haunted by their communist past in other countries as well. The opening of the Stasi files showed that evangelical churches in Germany, held for their instrumental role in bringing down the communist regime in the German Democratic Republic, had been misguided in seeking accommodation with communist policies and Marxist ideology, and had neglected their prophetic duty to resist tyranny and injustice. In early 2007, Polish Bishop Stanislaw Wielgus confessed to having collaborated with the Polish Communist political police and announced his decision to resign at a service intended to install him as the new Archbishop of Warsaw. His public confession followed a number of press reports publicly uncovering his tainted past. The following day, the main priest of the Krakow Cathedral, Father Janusz Bielanski, stood down for the same reason. As a result of these prominent cases, the Polish Council of Bishops decided to investigate the clergy collaboration with the communist regime more systematically. Despite these striking examples, past collaboration with the communists has not deterred the faithful from returning to places of worship and from forgiving their church leaders. However, successive public scandals revolving around this topic have managed to taint the reputation and social status of religious denominations, convincing many religious Eastern Europeans that the freedom of religion accorded to priests and prelates should be directly proportional to their anti-communist sentiment. We shall now turn to several areas which, for Eastern Europeans, are associated with freedom of religion and which are significant for religion in that part of the world, in this part of the world. They are sexuality and religion, nationalism and religion, religious education in the public schools, and religion and refugees. First, sexuality and religion. After decades of atheism in which they did not have any say in the regulation of human sexuality, the post-communist religious denominations became very interested in changing the situation, as they considered that the communist morality was problematic and needed to be changed. Numerous churches took issue with the legalization of abortion and homosexual behavior, the ever-increasing use of family planning, artificial insemination, and other reproductive technologies. After decades of isolation from the international community and strict state control, the churches were hard-pressed to formulate official positions with respect to a wide number of issues related to sexuality and sexual behavior. Not surprisingly, they were at a loss when called upon to speak on sensitive issues that in Eastern Europe were new not only to them, but also to the general public, the political elite, and the local academic community. As a result, it took some time for churches to draft official pronouncements, and the majority of them have yet to do so. When discussing sexuality and religion, many pro-choice advocates mention the limitation of human rights when religions act to limit abortion. While abortion is not a human right, its restriction under certain circumstances infringes on a number of rights of girls and women, such as the right to life, right to health and health care, right to information, rights to non-discrimination and equality, right to be free from cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment, right to privacy, right to decide the number and spacing of children, right to security of the person, right to liberty, right to enjoy the benefits of scientific progress, right to freedom of conscience and religion. In this section, we will consider two Orthodox churches and a Roman Catholic Church of Poland. So the Russian, the Romanian, and the Roman Catholic Church in Poland. Two of the largest Orthodox churches in the region, the Russian and the Romanian, recognized that the continued reliance on canon law to deal with sexuality was no longer sufficient, because canons were drafted over 1500 years ago and thus were silent on such modern issues as artificial insemination or in vitro fertilization, and because canons themselves were never really codified, using different definitions and prescribing different penances for the same sexual behavior. The two churches drafted pioneering documents for orthodoxy in general, presenting their official positions on important social issues, including sexual behavior. The basis of the social concept was adopted by the Jubilee Bishops' Council of the Russian Orthodox Church in August 2000, while abortion was approved by the Holy Synod of the Romanian Orthodox Church in July 2005. Chapter 10 of the basis of the social concept on personal, family, and public morality reaffirmed the Russian Orthodox Church's respect for common law marriage, thus upholding the Holy Synod decisions of '98, which surprisingly scolded spiritual fathers who declare common law marriage invalid and demand that spouses who have lived together for many years but were not married in church should divorce or identify such marriage with fornication. The new document reminded the clergy that marriage in church was rendered difficult by the adoption of the Decree of Separation of Church from State in 1918, with the prohibition being lifted only 7 decades later. While reaffirming that marriage is a union of a man and a woman, thus excluding same-sex marriages, the Church adopted a moderate view on divorce, again upholding its 1998 decision to denounce the actions of those spiritual fathers who prohibit their spiritual children from contracting a second marriage and prohibit married couples from divorce if their family life becomes impossible. It stressed that fornication ruins the harmony and integrity of one's life, while pornography contributes to the suppression of the spiritual and moral principles, thus reducing man to an animal motivated by instinct alone. But the Church does not call to abhor the body or sexual intimacy as such. Chapter 12 on problems of bioethics equated abortion with murder. Therefore, from the moment of conception, any encroachment on the life of a future human being is criminal. The widespread use of abortion by the modern society was seen as a threat to the future of humanity and a clear sign of its moral degradation. The Church can bless abortion under no circumstance, but in the case of a direct threat to the life of the mother, if her pregnancy continues, leniency was recommended. Contraceptives with abortive effect were condemned, but other means which do not involve interrupting an already conceived life cannot be equated with abortion. The document once again referred to the December 1998 decision, which instructed clergy serving as spiritual guides that it is inadmissible to coerce or induce a flock to refuse conjugal relations in marriage as a contraception method. In the case of sterile couples, the artificial insemination with the husband's sperm was admissible, since it does not violate the integrity of the marital union, while all other practices, such as the use of donated cells, surrogate motherhood, and extracorporeal fertilization involving embryos, was strongly rejected. Equally condemned was homosexuality and the cloning of human beings, deemed to represent a definite challenge to the very nature of the human being and to the image of God inherent in him, but not the cloning of isolated organic cells and tissues. So this was the position of the Russian Orthodox Church. The document entitled Abortion was drafted by a National Commission on Bioethics set up at the request of the Romanian Orthodox Church. To ground its work in theological dogma, the text included frequent references to biblical texts and early Christian canons. The commission included 5 theologians, 5 scientists, 1 sociologist, 1 law graduate in an effort to bridge the gap between the view of the church and the positions of the scientists and legal experts. According to the document, quote, abortion and all abortive practices are grave sins because they lead to the murder of a human being, affect the dignity of the woman, raise the risk of mutilation of the woman's body, of the premature death of the young mother. The same document listed 4 cases considered worth detailing. First, it stipulated that in the case of the life of the mother is really threatened by the pregnancy or birth, priority must be given to the woman's life, not because it has a greater intrinsic value, but because of her ties to and responsibilities towards other people who depend on her. Second, in case of genetic investigation reveals an abnormally unborn child, we recommend that the child be born and his right to life respected, but the decision belongs to the family, after the physician and the father confessor have informed them of all the moral and practical implications. Third, the risk of abortion following rape or incest must be avoided by education, but if pregnancy resulted, the child must be born and, if needed, put up for adoption. Lastly, abortion can never be morally justified by the economic status of the family, the disagreements between spouses, its impact on the mother's career, or the physical aspect of the mother. Thus, abortion was allowed for therapeutic purposes when either the mother's life was threatened by the pregnancy or families were unable to assume the burden of raising children with disabilities. In both cases, the decision rested with the family, not the church. Going a step further, the document recognized that the burden of preventing abortion must be shared by the parents and the Orthodox Church, whose pastoral and social activity must be diversified to better educate the public. The case of Poland is not included in this presentation. Nationalism and religion. As a major Pew Research Center survey discovered in 2017, in many post-communist countries, religion is strongly correlated with national identity. Although many of these countries embrace the European Union as a transnational project. Thus, in the Russian Federation and Poland, being Orthodox or Catholic, respectively, is important to being truly Russian or truly Polish. This is also the case in Greece, where the Church played a central role in Greece's successful struggle for independence from the Ottoman Empire, and where today 3/4 of the public say that being Orthodox is important to being truly Greek. A series of questions the Pew Research asked about national pride, cultural superiority, and various aspects of national identity also revealed that in predominantly Orthodox countries, people are prouder than people elsewhere about their nationality. In all the Orthodox countries in the region, at least 50% of adults indicate pride in their nationality, with Georgia ranking the highest at 78%, followed by Greece at 72%, Serbia at 60%, while Russia at 52% and Moldova at 50% are the lowest, still over 50%. Interestingly enough, the Pew survey also found that a strong correlation between being religious and voicing strong pride in national citizenship. A case in point highlighted by the survey is Romania, where the difference, 35 points, is the highest between those who say that religion is very or somewhat important and those who say that religion is not too or not at all important in their lives. Romania was very nationalistic until it joined the European Union in 2007. Afterwards, with many more Romanians being able to travel and work in the European Union, the percentage of national pride dropped to 54%. There's no consensus when it comes to defining nationalism. It has been understood variously as an ideology based on the individual's overwhelming loyalty to the nation state, a cultural awareness or civic mindedness, the idea that political and cultural units should be congruent, as well as an ideology and a movement that makes political claims on behalf of a nation or on the basis of an imaginary national identity. Scholars note and minorities experience nationalism's deadly power to divide, but also recognize that nationalism creates advantages solely for a majority population. The scholarly literature dealing with nationalism as an ideology promoting loyalty to the nation state has distinguished between Western and Eastern European nationalism. Thus, Paul Latowski wrote about the political, social, and territorial nationalism of the West and the ethnic nationalism of the East. Martin Radi added that in the West, notions of nationhood were grafted onto older concepts of citizenship, natural rights, and popular sovereignty, all protected by strong states. In the East, by contrast, these concepts were less developed and modern nations lacked the civic and political institutions to protect them from when they emerged in the 19th century. As a result, in Eastern Europe, the nation subsumed the individual, and civic rights took second place to the doctrine of national rights. Nationalism has been present in Eastern Orthodox religious discourse and practice before, during, and after communism. While aiding the nation-building process, it did so by promoting an understanding of the Romanian nation, for example, as an Orthodox nation, to take only one example. Nationalism still played a significant role in Romanian politics during the first decade of post-communism, but subsided when Romania joined the European Union and Romanians began traveling and working abroad. However, nationalist discourses have re-emerged in 2018 on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the creation of Greater Romania. In the 1990s, the Romanian Orthodox Church used nationalism to restore its credibility, which had been affected by its collaboration with the communist regime. The Church's discourse underscored the link between Orthodoxy and Romanianism, and the importance of preserving the Romanian national identity in the face of growing modernization, globalization, secularization, European Union integration, and religious competition. Nationalist messages were delivered through pastoral letters, public declarations by the clergy, theological publications, and the statements released by organizations set up under the Church's aegis. One spectacular manifestation of nationalism occurred in 1992 when the Holy Synod undertook the canonization of 19 Romanian saints and declared the second Sunday after Pentecost as the Sunday of the Romanian saints. The next section is the return of religious education to public schools. All post-communist Eastern European members provide religious education in public schools in one form or another. After 1989, in reaction to decades of anti-religious campaigns, the introduction of religious education in the school curriculum was among the earliest and most strongly advocated demands put forth by religious denominations. the general public, and some politicians in Eastern Europe. But the way in which religion is taught differs widely across the region. Slovenia comes closest to respecting a stricter separation of the church and state. The country allows education about religion in public schools, but such classes are not offered by the religious denominations, and therefore they do not include catechism and are not faith-based. Teachers may not be ordained as priests, and the curriculum blends religion with ethics, teaching them from a religious studies, not a theological viewpoint. Slovenia also allows religion only in grades 7 through 9. Similarly, in Hungary, religious classes can take place on school premises after regular hours without being integrated in the school curricula. All other countries permit religious instruction in primary and secondary schools and allow for it to be done confessionally and even in the form of catechesis. In the vast majority of countries, religion classes are optional for the students but compulsory for the schools. Indeed, elective compulsory, a concept used in several post-communist Eastern European Union member states, means that although religious education is an elective subject, if required by a minimum number of parents, public schools must offer it. Thus, religion classes are elective for the students who may opt out of them, but compulsory for the schools if certain conditions are met. The strictest in this respect used to be Bulgaria and Romania until 2015, where parents and students had to provide a justification for not attending the religion class, arguing, for example, that the class runs against the parents' convictions, and submit written requests for deregistration to the school principals. Romania had one of the strictest legislations in regard to the freedom of conscience and religion by insisting informally that the study of religion in public schools is mandatory, although the mandatory teaching of religion goes against the current international human rights legislation that the country has signed. In November 2014, the Romanian Constitutional Court went against its own earlier decision of 2012 and ruled that Articles 9 of the Education Law 84, 95 of 1995, and Article 18 of the Education Law 1 of 2011 are unconstitutional. Parents who want their children to study religion have to opt in, that is, register explicitly for those classes. While some countries aim for non-confessional religious instruction in public schools, in practice denominations are involved in the preparation of teaching materials, approval of the curriculum, and vetting of the teachers. This includes Slovenia, where church representatives sit on the curriculum commission which approves the religion and ethics course syllabus. One sympathetic observer describes the challenge of teaching religion in public and church schools in Poland, where the same curriculum endorsed by the Catholic Church is used. It becomes, quote, "It becomes increasingly difficult to accomplish all functions of catechesis, that is, teaching, educating, and Christian initiation. The largest difficulties occur with the last function that visualizes deepening of students' personal faith. As far as this concept is concerned, faith can be supported in Catholic schools less and less frequently, while in the case of public schools, it becomes totally impractical. The main obstacle is low religiousness of students, who ever more frequently lack the basic knowledge of Christianity and personal religious experience. Therefore, they expect the religious education to answer their personal existential dilemmas concerning the meaning of life and pursuit of happiness, as well as a discussion on topics related to the very existence of God or credibility of other religions." End of quote. Also, after 1989, some countries took longer to introduce religious instruction in public schools. For example, Czechia only did so in 1998, Serbia in 2001, and Montenegro still has to do it. Depending on the population's religiousness and pressure put by the religious groups on their religious or respective government. What makes Czechia stand out among its Central and Eastern European neighbors is the fact that there are also over 80 church schools funded by the government, which in many ways serve as elite public schools, because admission is based solely on standardized entrance exams. Teachers in these schools can be atheists, or belong to denominations, as long as their primary allegiance is to the church that acts as the school patron. Curiously, religious education in these schools is optional instead of required, as one would expect. The church provides the building where classes are organized and screens teachers who must seek the approval of the Ministry of Education. The last section is churches and refugees. After 1989, many former Soviet bloc citizens were able to travel to Western Europe to work or settle there as migrants. Although this east to west migration was quite sizable, in the case of some Eastern European countries, it was generally welcomed by both the countries from which the migrants originated, as they sent money to their poor families back home, and the destination countries, which welcomed the influx of cheap but also skilled labor needed to fill various gaps in their job market. After 2000, however, Eastern European countries themselves began serving as a destination for refugees and migrants from the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Beginning in 2015, a large, some say the largest since World War II, refugee crisis erupted, and its multiple causes included the civil war in Syria that's been ongoing since 2011, the terrorist organization known as the Islamic State, Daesh, having seized control of large swaths of land in Iraq, Syria, and Libya, as well as the economic consequences of human-caused climate change. Due to the sheer number of people trying to enter Europe, the refugee crisis has raised serious issues for the entire continent, dividing countries and leading to political shifts. Its impact will continue for years to come. In this context, churches in Eastern Europe had to respond to the new influx of people, and their responses were sometimes very conservative, rejecting the refugees or even refusing to offer them any sort of protection. True, no country in this world has an open border policy, as some journalists or left-leaning academics would have us believe. However, helping refugees from conflict zones or those fleeing dictatorships is an obligation that many have taken seriously during the course of human history. Article 14 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 enshrined the right to asylum in another country as a human right for those fleeing persecution in their own countries. That human right has been upheld by later international conventions on refugees. In Czechia and Slovakia, the Catholic bishops adopted decisions with regards to refugees following their February 2017 joint meeting in Bratislava by emphasizing that the whole history of humanity shows how uncontrolled migration causes violence and conflict, as well as economic and cultural collapse, and that preference for resettlement should be given to Christian refugees. Some bishops present at the meeting alleged that Islam and Christianity were still in permanent conflict, despite all the efforts at dialogue, and that the threat of terrorism increased with the larger presence of Muslims in non-Muslim countries. Polish Catholic bishops also had a lukewarm reaction to welcoming refugees, arguing in particular against Muslim refugees, and urging them to avoid Christian countries like Poland, where they would not be able to feel at home. The Polish Bishops' Conference, the Church's decision-making body, in its September 2015 statement wrote, quote, "The assistance is necessary for those who suffer as a result of wars in their countries. In Poland, the main initiative and responsibility lies on the shoulders of the secular authorities. It is they who are the inviting side," end quote. According to a study concerning attitudes towards Muslim refugees among Poland's Catholic bishops and seminarians, there is a difference between a more welcoming attitude present in the official statements towards Muslims on the one hand and the anti-Muslim sentiments embraced by the seminarians, who are the future Catholic priests of the country, on the other hand. The anti-Muslim sentiments are fueled by the media hype against Islam, but also by the Islamist terrorist attacks perpetrated in various countries since September 2001, in which some Polish citizens lost their lives. Quote, "The Polish public has voiced some of the strongest dissent in Europe against taking in refugees fleeing the war-torn Middle East, and continues to express one of the highest rates of fear of Muslims among European countries. In Hungary, most bishops avoided dissenting from Prime Minister Viktor Orban's tough stance against refugees. This reaction from Catholic bishops in Central and Eastern Europe was surprising, given that on the 6th of September 2015, Pope Francis called on every Catholic parish and religious community to host at least one refugee family in order to assist them concretely at the peak of their refugee crisis. Heading this call, numerous Catholic charitable organizations and religious orders provided serious assistance to the refugees. Orthodox churches have been somewhat more welcoming to refugees, with the Patriarch Bartholomew, Archontis of Constantinople, urging European states to open their arms to refugees, and ordinary Orthodox Christians in Greece doing their best, even in times of financial crisis, to offer some help to the large number of refugees flooding their country on their way to Northern Europe's richer countries. The Romanian Orthodox Church also provided some assistance to the refugees present in the country. The Bulgarian Orthodox Church urged the government not to admit any more refugees while committing to assist the ones already present in the country. The Serbian Orthodox Church was also welcoming of refugees, especially those transiting Serbia, through the charitable fund Čovekoljublje, which is registered in Serbia as a local non-profit foundation with the main purpose of performing humanitarian activities. But the Roman Catholic Caritas and Muslim Gajrit religious organizations have also been active in Serbia. All of them looked at the refugees as vulnerable human beings in need of help when engaging with them. While traditionally countries of immigration, predominantly Orthodox countries have become countries of immigration themselves. This change has created challenges for their church-state relations and also an increase in the religious pluralism, with which, unlike predominantly Catholic or Protestant countries of Western Europe, they are not accustomed. The Dublin III Regulation 604 of 2013 introduced the requirement that a refugee seeking asylum in the European Union should apply for it in the country where he or she has first entered the European Union, and that particular state is responsible for accepting or rejecting the application. Under this regulation, Greece and the Greek Orthodox Church have been criticized for not doing enough for the asylum seekers. But using its ecumenical refugee program, the Greek Orthodox Church has provided humanitarian help and assistance to refugees. The influx of refugees has increased the country's Muslim population by several hundred thousand, thus challenging the traditional dominant position of the Orthodox Church. Conclusions. This presentation looked at religion in Central Eastern Europe and Russia after the fall of the Iron Curtain in 1989-91. After an introduction to the persecution of religion under communism and the revival of religion following communism's demise, it dealt briefly with issues pertaining to dealing with the past. Then, drawing examples from countries in the region, it considered topics such as sexuality and religion, nationalism and religion, religious education in public schools, and religion and refugees. Generally, churches in the region preferred to take an active stance when it came to democracy and wanted to have a say in how various issues were dealt with. While most churches in the region are not interested in regulating sexuality, the ones that are tend to be extremely conservative, encouraging the banning of abortion, dismissing homosexuality, and encouraging traditional family values. Nationalism is something that most countries in the region have mixed up with religion, according to recent surveys, but those countries that joined the European Union managed to lower their nationalistic tendencies. The reintroduction of religious education in public schools has perhaps been the most successful achievement of churches in the region. While most take a somewhat relaxed approach to teaching religion, some feel very strongly that religion should be part of the curriculum, even though they cannot make it as mandatory as they would like due to the various international protections for freedom of conscience and religion, including the freedom not to believe and the freedom to change one's religion. When it comes to refugees, the reaction to welcoming them has been mixed, with some churches being more welcoming than others. But most countries in our chapter were not faced with a large influx of refugees, who were most interested in heading out for the richer countries of Western Europe. So I'm finishing here. Thank you very much. We used to stick to the 45 minutes.
Dakle, čujemo se. Još jednom hvala profesoru Točesku na ovom izlaganju koje je otvorilo mnoga brojna pitanja i nadam se da je vas podstaklo na razmišljanja i da ćete pokušati da zajedno sa njim neka od ovih tema još dublje produbimo. Pre nego što počnete sa postavljanjem pitanja, samo još 2-3 tehničke napomene. Dakle, molim vas da pitanja postavljate na srpskom jeziku, čak i oni koji znaju engleski, da bi vas drugi razumeli, a ja ću onda profesoru prevoditi. Također vas molim da budete što koncizniji i kraći, upravo da bih mogao što preciznije da prenesem profesoru šta želite da kažete. Dakle, neka sopstvena predavanja i razmišljanja su još manje poželjna nego na drugim sesijama. Naročito bih želeo da podstaknem studente teologije i naravno učesnike i goste simposiona da postavljaju pitanja. Pa izvolite. Evo, otac Vladan Perišić prvo.
Prije svega hvala profesoru na ovom lijepom pregledu koji je napravio svih zbivanja relevantnih za crkvu posle pada Gvozdene zavjese. Mnogo je toga što se može pitati, nadam se da će to drugi učiniti. Ja ću se ograničiti na jedno pitanje, 2 pitanja povodom jedne stvari. On je na jednom mjestu rekao da su ljudi u pravoslavnim zemljama ponosni na svoju naciju nego u nepravoslavnim zemljama. Dakle, Srbin je ponosniji što je Srbin nego Englez što je Englez. Bugarin je ponosniji što je Bugarin nego Šveđanin što je Šveđanin. I tako dalje, i tako dalje. Kako ovo objašnjavate? I još važnije, kuda to vodi?
Thank you. I think predominantly Orthodox countries have become nations later in the 19th century than other Western countries.
Mislim da su većinski pravoslavne zemlje kasnije postale nacionalne, dakle kasnije tokom 19. veka nego što je to slučaj sa drugim nepravoslavnim zemljama, zapadnim zemljama.
And in Orthodox theology there is the doctrine of symphonia.
I u pravoslavnoj teologiji postoji učenje o simfoniji,
which have tied churches close to the state.
Koje je zbližilo crkve sa državom.
And led to this development of different state-church relations than Western countries.
Što je dovelo do razvoja različitih odnosa crkve i države nego što je to slučaj u zapadnim zemljama.
In Western countries, Catholicism tend to be more universal, while Orthodox churches tended to focus on nation states. That's why we have Serbian, Romanian, Russian, Bulgarian Orthodox churches.
U zapadnim zemljama katolička crkva teži da bude što je više moguće univerzalna, dok je sa pravoslavnim crkvama situacija drugačija. One se više koncentrišu na one nacionalno i zbog toga imamo srpsku, rusku, bugarsku ili rumunsku crkvu.
And that's why probably there is a stronger national feeling among the Orthodox than among, for example, Catholics or Protestants.
I verovatno je to razlog zbog čega pravoslavni osjećaju jaču privrženost naciji nego što je to slučaj sa katolicima ili protestantima. Where does this lead us? That was the main part of his question.
The main part.
What do you think?
For the future.
Yeah, for the future. What are the consequences of this?
The consequences, I mean, in a way, it's reasserting the national identity, but this can lead to divisions, and we have to be careful if we emphasize nationalism too much.
Jedna od posljedica koja je pozitivna može biti ponovno uspostavljanje nacionalnog identiteta, međutim moramo biti oprezni zato što nas ovakav stav može dovesti i do podjela.
Just briefly to clarify, the European Union was formed after World War II in order to avoid the nationalisms that have led to fascism.
Da kratko pojasnim svoje stanovište, Evropska unija osnovana je nakon Drugog svjetskog rata kako bi se izbjegli nacionalizmi koji su doveli do takvih pojava kao što je fašizam.
And what we witness nowadays is an increasing rejection of the European Union because people have somehow forgotten why the Union started in the first place, and we see increasing right-wing extremism, including in Western countries, including in the United States, that tend to go to a repeat of history if we don't pay attention and if we emphasize nationalism too much.
Ono što svedočimo ovih dana je rastuće odbacivanje Evropske unije zbog toga što smo zaboravili osnove na kojima je ova unija uopšte sazdana. Svedoci smo dakle rastućeg desnog ekstremizma, čak i u zapadnim zemljama, čak i u Americi, i to je ono što je problematično, dakle, i opasno. Sljedeće pitanje mislim da možemo preći. Evo profesor Darko Đogo.
Samo da zahvalim profesoru Tučesku na lijepom predavanju. Ja bih se vratio na jedan bitan moment, jednu bitnu analogiju koju je napravio. A to je analogija sa situacijom iz 4. vijeka i situacijom poslije pada gvozdene zavjese. Podsjetio nas je da u 4. vijeku je postojao problem prihvatanja palih lapsi, što je vrlo analogno problemima koje su crkve u svom životu imale, pravoslavne crkve, prvenstveno početkom 90. godina. Moj utisak kao parohijskog sveštenika je da je reakcija crkve u 4. vijeku i u 20. vijeku bila potpuno različita. Iako u 4. vijeku imamo rigorističke pokrete poput donatizma, koji su nastojali da odbace one koji su za vrijeme progona pali, većinski je ipak crkva odbacila donatizam kao jeres, dok jedan oblik sakrivenog donatizma postoji u crkvenoj svijesti mnogih danas u pravoslavnim crkvama. Kad god kao parohijski sveštenik prolazim kroz parohiju, čujem tipske rečenice koje su najčešće činjenično netačne, kako je moj otac, moj deda ili ja lično, mi smo bili jedini vjernici koji su išli za vrijeme komunizma u jednu crkvu, a svi ovi danas nisu išli, pa ja ne želim da idem u crkvu u koju idu sada svi. Tu rečenicu čujem toliko često da bih pomislio da su nekada svi išli u crkvu, a u stvari situacija je potpunosti obratna. Moje pitanje je, šta mislite, otkuda taj sakriveni donatizam u crkvi danas? Hvala.
So, if I understand correctly the question, the Donatism of the 4th century and some form of anti-Donatism today where everybody says that they went to the church.
Yeah, kind of hidden donatism of the people who believe that their parents or grandparents went to church, so they're despising all the others who did not go to church, and they don't want to go to church with those same.
This is not okay. I use the analogy as a way of showing that there is a need to deal with the past after a crisis.
Ovu analogiju iskoristio sam zato što sam želeo da pokažem da je važno pronaći način da se izborimo sa prošlošću nakon neke krizne situacije.
And I was not familiar with this kind of attitude that you mentioned.
I nije mi bio poznat ovakav stav i način razmišljanja koji ste upravo pomenuli.
I can see some donatism in what the attitude of these people that you described.
Zaista mi se čini da postoji neka vrsta donatizma u stavu ljudi koje ste upisali.
Let's not forget that Donatism lasted from the 4th until the 5th century. Augustine met a lot of Donatists during his time.
Ne zaboravimo da je i u prošlosti, dakle, donatizam potrajao od 4. pa duž 5. veka i da je sam Augustin sreo mnogo donatista tokom svog vremena.
So at that time there was the issue of purity, saying that only the pure should be part of the church. The church rejected that, and in a way it says that the church is for both saints and sinners.
Dakle, u to vrijeme problem je bio u tome što su neki smatrali da samo čisti imaju pravo da idu u crkvu, a sama crkva je odbacila takvo stanovište, rekavši da je crkva kako za svetitelje, tako i za grešnike.
Today there are other ways of dealing with this kind of attitude.
Danas postoje drugačiji načini da se borimo sa ovakvim stavom.
And in Eastern Europe, the specific way was giving access to secret police files of people to see who collaborated, who resisted.
U istočnoj Evropi dogodilo se to, dakle, što je profesor pomenuo, da su se otvorila dokumenta tajne policije komunističke, pa se jasno vidjelo ko su ti ljudi koji su sarađivali sa vlastima, a ko nije.
So if I understand correctly, you are saying that you see some form of donatism among some of these people that you mentioned, and that's something that, as we know, the church has rejected historically under the influence of Augustine.
Dakle, profesor se slaže s onim što je Darko rekao, da zaista postoji određena vrsta donatističkog stava kod ljudi koji razmišljaju ovako kako je on opisao, i to nije dobro zato što je to, dakle, stanovište koje je crkva već davno odbacila.
Some clearing of the ground has to be done. People cannot walk on the street and see someone who tortured them or informed on them it's difficult. So society has to heal itself.
Ali neka vrsta pročišćenja, da kažem, i obnove mora da se dogodi, jer nije ni lako za ljude da izađu na ulicu i da tamo sretnu ljude koji su ih u komunizmu mučili. Nego, dakle, društvo treba da pronađe način da se izleči.
Just briefly, one interesting way of dealing with this was Bishop Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa.
Jedan od interesantnih načina za borbu sa ovakvim problemima je borba koju je vodio ovaj biskup Desmond Tutu u Južnoj Africi.
Who influenced societal reconciliation after apartheid.
Koji je imao veliki uticaj na društveno pomirenje nakon apartheida.
He took, as an Anglican bishop, he took the concept of forgiveness and reconciliation.
Kao anglikanski biskup on je uzeo koncept pomirenja i oproštaja
and turned it into a political instrument, offering amnesty to those who confessed to their torturing, to murdering people.
I ove koncepte je učinio političkim oruđem kojim se nudila amnestija onima koji su bili spremni da javno priznaju svoje učešće u mučenju, ubistvima i drugim lošim stvarima. Hvala. Naredno pitanje. Iza Srećko.
Hvala. Profesor Tučesko je pomenuo simfoniju i različite modele odnosa crkve i države kroz istoriju. Posebno se osvrćući na istočnoevropske primere iz nedavne istorije saradnje sa tajnim policijama i državnim službama. Mene zanima koje je vaše mišljenje, da li se danas nešto suštinski promenilo, da li su samo drugačiji gospodari i da li je saradnja crkava i države, ne samo pravoslavne crkava, nego i ostalih crkava u istočnoj Evropi pa i u čitavoj Evropi suštinski drugačije ili postoji ista ova ili i dalje postoji ista vrsta odnosa koju ste spomenuli. Hvala.
Some Orthodox churches have tried to restore the model of Sinfonia after 89.
Neke od pravoslavnih crkava pokušale su da ponove uspostave odnos simfonije između crkve i države nakon 89.
But that was not successful, and one example where they tried, for example, is by sending bishops into parliament.
Ali to nije baš uspjelo, a jedan primjer toga što su oni pokušali je da su slali episkope u skupštine da budu, dakle, poslanici.
There are different types of relationship these days between church and state.
Ovih dana postoje različiti načini i vrste odnosa crkve i države.
And in a way, the fact that the European Union does not have one single model for church-state relationship influences Eastern churches.
I na neki način sama činjenica da Evropska unija nema jedan jedinstveni model odnosa između crkve i države, također ima uticaj i na zemlje istočne Evrope i na crkve u istočnoj Evropi.
There is the model of strict separation in countries like France and the United States.
Postoji model striktne razdvojenosti u zemljama poput Francuske i Sjedinjenih Američkih Država.
There is the model of collaboration in some churches in Western Europe that churches in the East are looking at.
Postoji također model kolaboracije crkve i države, to je saradnje u nekim zapadnim evropskim zemljama na koje se ugledaju onda i istočne zemlje.
For example, Germany, where church and state collaborate very strongly.
Na primjer, Njemačka gdje crkve i država veoma snažno sarađuju.
There is the model of non-separation in countries like England, Denmark, and that is usually countries that have kings and Protestant churches.
Postoji i model nerazdvojenosti u zemljama poput Engleske i Danske, to su uglavnom zemlje koje su kraljevine i koje imaju većinski protestantske crkve.
And in a way, churches of Eastern Europe, including Roman Catholic, Poland, or Orthodox countries, are looking at those models and they try to see what fits them best.
I na neki način crkve u istočnoj Evropi, ne samo pravoslavne, nego recimo i rimokatolička crkva u Poljskoj, posmatraju sve ove postojeće modele i pokušavaju da vide šta im od toga najviše odgovara.
But I don't see simfonia anywhere,
Ali ne vidim
with
da igde
perhaps the
postoji...
examples of Russia a bit.
Okay. Dakle, ne vidim da igde postoji ostvaren taj model ili ideal simfonije sa možda izuzetkom Rusije, gdje je to donekle ostvareno. Thank you. Naredno pitanje, Marina. A može, Dragana, može, ajde pa Marina.
Da. Pridružila bih se izrazima zahvalnosti za ovakvo predavanje. I kada ste govorili o religiji i seksualnosti, rekli ste nam ono što nam je naravno već poznato, da se pravoslavne crkve, da su one uglavnom protiv istopolnih brakova, zapravo uvijek su protiv istopolnih brakova, protiv su abortusa osim u izuzetnim slučajevima, ne zalažu se naravno i za sve vidove kontracepcije i veštačkog začeća. Da li mislite da bi bilo u skladu sa njenim učenjem da predloži nešto drugo?
Thank you. Yes, I think it is okay for Orthodox churches to bring some new ideas.
Da, mislim da bi bilo dobro i u redu da pravoslavna crkva iznese neke nove predloge i ideje.
And including the form of bringing it in a sense of a pronouncement.
Uključujući i formu iznošenja ovih ideja u smislu načina na koji se oni izražavaju.
Instead of just falling back onto the ancient canons.
Umjesto da se samo vraćamo i osvrćemo na praktično antičke kanone, odnosno vrlo stare kanone
that no longer respond to all the situations we are faced with today.
Koji više ne odgovaraju svim situacijama sa kojima se danas suočavamo.
And I must say that personally I admire the responses of both the Russian and the Romanian Orthodox churches to these issues.
Moram da kažem da se lično divim ili veoma poštujem odgovore na ovu problematiku koju su dali i Ruska i Rumunska crkva.
I find them, while maintaining some traditional values, I also find them to be progressive.
Čini mi se da iako one zadržavaju određene tradicionalne i konzervativne vrednosti, one su također istovremeno i progresivne. To bi bio odgovor. Onda Marina, imaš mikrofon.
Hvala profesoru na zanimljivom predavanju. Moje pitanje je donekle slično ovom koje smo čuli sada. Pomenuli ste da su istočne pravoslavne crkve konzervativne po nekim pitanjima, po pitanju seksualnosti i tako dalje. Da li mislite da je to neki prelazni period u kome se te crkve nalaze? I šta je možda po vašem mišljenju potrebno da se desi da bi pravoslavne crkve, ajde da kažem, prigrlile zapadne liberalne vrednosti, ako to mogu tako da kažem? ili je to prosto taj konzervatizam karakteristika određenih pravoslavnih crkava, od kojih neke, bar po mom mišljenju, što uopšte ne mora da bude tačno, teže da ostanu konzervativne. Hvala.
I think Orthodox churches are traditional in the sense that they want to root themselves in the tradition of the church.
Ja smatram da su pravoslavne crkve tradicionalne utoliko što žele da utemelje svoje učenje u crkvenom predanju.
In the Bible and the tradition of the church fathers.
U Bibliji i svetootačkom predanju.
But they recognize that they are faced with newer issues.
Ali oni također prepoznaju da se danas suočavaju sa novim problemima
that are brought about by new technologies in particular and by people who are more educated and who want different answers.
Novim problemima, dakle, koje nam donose nove tehnologije i činjenica da su ljudi sve bolje obrazovani i da oni traže nove odgovore.
So in this sense, the Orthodox churches show themselves as rooted in a tradition, but also open to modernity, to formulating some relevant answers for modern people.
U tom smislu, pravoslavne crkve istovremeno su utemeljene u predanju, ali su i otvorene ka modernosti i ka pokušaju da formulišu odgovore na ta nova relevantna pitanja.
I don't think there is a transition period that causes this, but Orthodox churches have been able to express their voices, which they were not under communism. So they are becoming more vocal. They want to make sure they participate in the democracy that is shaped in their countries.
Ne smatram da je to stvar perioda tranzicije u kome se trenutno nalaze te zemlje i crkve, nego je prosto stvar u tome da pravoslavne crkve za vrijeme komunizma nisu bile u mogućnosti da iznesu svoj glas, a sada to jesu i onda one zbog toga i postaju sve glasnije i sve češće i jasnije izražavaju svoje stanovišta, stavove. Okay. Imamo li dalja pitanja? Evo.
Hvala na predavanju. Kao mlad teolog imam jedno pitanje vezano za veronauku i migraciju. Išao sam u nemačku školu gdje je veronauka obavezni predmet, znači nije dopunska nastava, nije ni izborni predmet. I rekli ste da je pravoslavna crkva ipak dosta otvorena bila prema izbeglicama. Njihova deca će također ići u školu što u Srbiji, što i u Nemačkoj gdje ćemo isto verovatno predavati veronauku ili borimo se. Kako smatrate da treba da se odnosimo prema izbeglicama koji nisu pravoslavne vere, kao veroučitelji, da tako kažem? Da li kao misijski da ih pozivamo da se priključe veronauci i da ih tu pokušavamo poučiti o Bogu, ili da se ne shvati pogrešno, ne znam kako crkva da tu pristupi, a da ne ispadne da smo agresivni prema njima, da hoćemo da ih obuzmemo, da tako kažem.
I wish I knew a little more about the situation in Serbia.
Želio bih da malo više znamo situaciju u samoj Srbiji.
But as far as I know, in many countries where religion is taught in schools,
ali onoliko koliko znamo, u mnogim zemljama u kojima se veronauka u nekom vidu odigrava u školi,
it is allowed to be taught in accordance with the religious convictions of the children.
Dozvoljeno je da se ta verska nastava izvodi u skladu sa religijskim opredeljenjem dece.
So if there are Muslim refugees, many of these countries that have introduced religion allow for Islam to be taught to those children rather than for other religions to be taught.
Tako da, koliko je njemu poznato, dakle, ukoliko se radi o izbjeglicama muslimanske veroispovesti, uglavnom se njihovoj deci dozvoljava da imaju islamsku veronauku pre nego da su primoravani ili posticani da slušaju veronauku drugih religija.
Proselytism is allowed, but not in schools.
Prozelitizam je dozvoljen, ali ne u školama.
Greece has forbidden proselytism, something that goes back to 1938.
Grčka je to zabranila već 1938.
But most of the other countries, former communist countries that I was speaking about, allow for proselytism, so that's not illegal to preach to others.
Ali većina drugih bivših komunističkih zemalja i dalje dozvoljava prozelitizam, tako da nije nelegalno poučavati i propovedati svoju veru pripadnicima druge vere.
It's just not done in schools.
Samo što se to ne radi u školama. Imamo li još pitanja? Ajde.
S obzirom da smo čuli da u Evropi postoje različiti modeli verske nastave, da li možete da nam kažete neko vaše mišljenje koji bi bio najbolji neki univerzalni model da sve zemlje u Evropi koriste kao versku nastavu u školama? Hvala.
It's not an easy question.
Ovo nije lako pitanje.
The model that I liked best is the Dutch model.
Model koji mi se najviše dopao je holandski model.
Which shows a lot of respect from the state towards religion.
Showed a lot of respect
from the state towards religion.
Koji je, dakle, pokazao mnogo poštovanja od strane države prema religijama.
And for example, if there are Orthodox children, like there are 300-400 families that want a school organized for Orthodox children, the state is providing the money, or for Muslims, the state is providing the money.
Tamo je, dakle, slučaj da ako se okupi recimo 300-400 porodica koje su pravoslavne vere ili koji su muslimani i onda zahtevaju od države pravoslavnu ili islamsku školu za svoju decu, država se pobrine za to da obezbedi novac da se ta škola i otvori.
But the state will also send inspectors to the school to make sure that no extremism is taught and that democracy is respected.
Ali onda država šalje i svoju inspekciju u ove škole da bi se uvjerila da se u njima ne podučava nikakav ekstremizam i da se poštuju demokratske vrijednosti.
And if they see extremism, they will close the school.
Ukoliko primete bilo kakav ekstremizam, oni automatski zatvaraju te škole.
Dutch tolerance.
To je takozvana holandska tolerancija, poznata i u drugim oblastima. Imamo li još pitanja? Imamo još vremena, 15 minuta. Evo, Vladika Grigorije.
Hvala, profesore. Pomenuli ste u jednom trenutku da je Evropska unija nastala i zbog toga da spriječi zlo koje se dogodilo u Drugom svjetskom ratu u vidu fašizma, a kao posljedica nacionalizma. Dakle, zamolio bih vas da malo konkretnije kažete zbog čega je i kako je to sve nacionalizam opasan i kako je bilo tako moguće da dođe do jednog takvog izvitoperenja nacionalizma u takvo zlo kao što je bio fašizam. I drugo pitanje koje je povezano sa ovom temom da crkva treba da se izjasni o seksualnosti. možete li da povežete to sa neverovatnim i vrlo čestim skandalima koji su pogodili crkvu i na istoku i na zapadu, prvo na zapadu pa onda i na istoku, i da li se mi tu sad izjašnjavamo kao neko ko je osramoćen, a zašto se nismo o tome izjasnili kao neko ko bi trebao da promišlja o ljudima i prije nego što se dogodi neki skandal?
So the first question about nationalism, fascism is known as National Socialism, and it was in a way opposed to communism, which is internationalist. So you had countries like fascist Italy, like Nazi Germany, there was fascism in Romania, that each of them emphasized their nationalism and collaborated with each other and led to the war, to World War II. That was so damaging.
Što se tiče prvog pitanja koje se tiče nacionalizma, fašizam je poznat kao nacionalni socijalizam. Za razliku od komunizma koji je po svojoj prirodi više internacionalan. Dakle, imali smo fašističku Italiju, nacističku Nemačku, fašističku Rumuniju, koje su svaka u sebi imale taj jak nacionalni poriv, koje su zajedno sarađivale, tako da je došlo do tog strašno razarajućeg Drugog svjetskog rata.
The European Union's forming principles were explicit against these forms of nationalism that led to World War II.
Osnivački principi Europske unije zbog toga su upravo bili potpuno suprotni ovakvim principima koji su doveli do Drugog svjetskog rata.
But today we have the impression, looking at Brexit, at other countries that don't like the European Union anymore, that people have lived a long period of good times and they forget what caused the European Union to be formed, history.
Ali u današnje vrijeme sa slučajevima poput Brexita čini nam se da prosto ljudi više ne cene dovoljno te vrednosti na kojima je zasnovana Europska unija, odnosno da su više dugo živjeli lepo i bezbrižno, pa su zaboravili zašto i kako je ta unija uopšte osnovana.
Concerning the second question about why did we miss the opportunity to speak about sexuality before these scandals, I'm thinking of the case of Romania, for example. There was a very strict anti-abortion decree under communism.
Što se tiče drugog pitanja koje se tiče toga zašto, između ostalog, dakle, zašto je crkva propustila da govori o seksualnosti pre nego što su u njenim redovima izbili brojni skandali. Trenutno mislim recimo na primjer Rumunije. Tu je čak i u vreme komunizma postojao jak stav i strog dekret, dakle, protiv abortusa.
And all the churches in that country, not just the Orthodox Church, were afraid to speak against abortion after almost 40 years of anti-abortion decree that was extremely strict.
I sve crkve u toj zemlji, dakle ne samo Rumunska pravoslavna crkva, bile su nakon pada komunizma neko vreme uplašene da pričaju protiv abortusa zbog toga što je već postojao tako strog taj anti-abortusni pokret ili zakon za vreme komunizma.
And then we started seeing the scandals, especially coming from the Catholic Church of sexual abuse of children by Catholic priests.
A onda smo videli brojne skandale, pre svega u zapadnoj crkvi, koje se, nažalost, naročito tiču zlostavljanja dece od strane sveštenika.
And that has created a situation like you described, a missed opportunity.
I to je, kao što ste i sami opisali, stvorilo situaciju propuštene prilike.
I think it probably needs some time before the church can speak with authority about sexuality again.
Čini mi se da će verovatno biti neophodno da prođe izvesno vreme pre nego što crkva ponovo bude u stanju da sa određenim autoritetom govori o pitanjima seksualnosti.
Ja imam samo pitanje koje se odnosi na to, mislim da niste spomenuli ili je meni možda promaklo pošto ne razumijem baš dobro engleski. Ako i crkva usvoji to što se tiče gej brakova kao što je stvar kod nekih crkava drugih, pitanje samo koje nominalno sledi nakon toga jeste usvajanje dece i vaspitanje tih deta, odnosno te dece koje se usvoje u tim gej brakovima. Da li smatrate da je to, ne znam da li ste govorili o tome, nisam čuo, možda i jeste. Kako govorite o tome, da li je da ta deca, da li oni na neki način bivaju primorani ili jednostavno ako svako dete ugleda na roditelje, ako su roditelji takvi, da li onda dolazimo od toga da će oni postati takvi ili kako već, kako vi vidite taj problem? Hvala.
It's a difficult question. I was in Romania when they had a referendum in early October of last year.
Ovo je teško pitanje. Bio sam baš u Rumuniji oktobra prošle godine kada su imali referendum.
And the church was trying to change the definition of marriage between spouses to make it clear between a man and a woman.
Crkva je pokušavala da promeni definiciju, ustavnu ili zakonsku definiciju braka, da se on ne definiše kao veza između supružnika, nego jasno kao veza između muškarca i žene.
Despite all the efforts, despite the fact that the population is overwhelmingly Orthodox, over 80%.
I uprkos svim njenim naporima i uprkos činjenici da je stanovništvo nadprosječno pravoslavno, dakle prevlađujuće pravoslavno preko 80%.
The referendum failed.
Referendum nije uspeo.
Because people boycotted the referendum and the minimum number of participants was not reached.
Zato što je narod bojkotovao referendum i minimalan broj ljudi koji su izašli na glasanje nije dostignut prosto.
I'm coming from a country where gay marriages are allowed, Canada.
Ja dolazim iz Kanade, zemlje u kojoj su gej brakovi dozvoljeni.
My own university president is a gay man married to another gay man and they have 3 adopted children.
Rektor mog univerziteta je gej, oženjen sa gejem naravno, i imaju 3 usvojene dece.
So what can I say? I don't know.
Tako da.
They raised those 3 children in a very proper way. The children themselves, I understand, are not gay. That's just one example I'm bringing from where I'm coming from, a Western country.
Oni su, dakle, ovo troje dece podigli, koliko je profesoru poznato, na jedan veoma korektan način. Sama deca nisu gej. To naravno nije neki opšti odgovor, ali to je prosto jedan primjer koji je njemu poznat iz iskustva. Dakle, ljudi koje poznaje i koji dolaze iz sveta u kome on živi. Je li ima neko još pitanje? Da, vidim Stefana, nego samo da li ima još neko drugi možda. Da damo priliku. Why do you think you... Nisu čuli, izvinjavam se za oni koji nisu čuli, pitanje je bilo zašto je posjećenost bogosluženja i crkava danas toliko mala nakon komunizma u kome je to bilo zabranjeno, ipak i danas malo ljudi idu u crkvu. Da vidimo šta će reći profesor.
So that's the question?
Yeah, that's the question.
Okay. It's a difficult question. I'm not sure there is one single answer.
To je zapravo veoma teško pitanje i nisam siguran da postoji jedan jedinstven odgovor na njega.
People consider themselves religious in most of Eastern Europe, high levels in many countries.
U većini istočnoevropskih zemalja ljudi sebe navodno smatraju religioznim u jako visokim procentima.
But going to church is not necessarily very often in their cases.
Ali sam odlazak u crkvu nije baš nužno veoma čest.
Maybe they consider that religious belief and the religious culture is transmitted through other ways, such as religious education.
Da. Možda smatraju da je način bivanja religioznim prosto promenjen i da je prenesen na neke druge forme, poput verske nastave.
Maybe people are fascinated by technology and you push a button and you expect something quickly to happen.
Možda su ljudi prosto fascinirani tehnologijom gdje samo pritisneš dugme i očekuješ da se nešto brzo dogodi.
They don't have the patience to sit, especially in an Orthodox liturgy, which is long.
Nemaju strpljenja. Profesor kaže da sede, a kod nas još gore da stoje. Pogotovo kaže na pravoslavnoj liturgiji koja je veoma dugačka.
I think there is some secularization. For a long time I believed that secularization was a bit imaginary, but probably there is some secularization that's going on through European countries, through North American countries, through democracies.
Čini mi se da postoji izvestan nivo sekularizacije za koju sam izvesno vrijeme verovao da je umišljena, ali sada ipak primećujem da zaista postoji određen stepen sekularizacije u evropskim zemljama i severnoameričkim zemljama.
So it's a complex answer that I'm not sure one single explanation will catch everything.
To je jedan kompleksan odgovor i nisam siguran da bilo koje pojedinačno objašnjenje može da obuhvati čitav problem. Ok, još neko? Recimo da imamo vremena za još jedno pitanje. Ajde, Đakon Branislav.
Profesor Turčesku, pad gvozdene zavjese je definitivno bitan događaj u novijoj istoriji. I prošli su mnogi važni događaji, međutim neke stvari u crkvi nisu uspjele da izazovu gotovo nikakav refleks. Odnosno stvari poput nacionalizma, eto da kažemo možda etnofiletizma, su gotovo iste i prije i poslije. i pomenuta migrantska kriza i dešavanja, ali eto i bez nje u Kanadi, dakle, taj nekakav odnos prema naciji i nacionalizmu preživi, dakle, i u Kanadi, gdje se pravoslavne crkve samo drukčije organizuju i dakle, ostanu u tom jednom domenu. Šta bi po vašem mišljenju trebalo tako krupno da se desi, da konačno prevaziđemo, evo makar deklarativno, makar u nazivima pomjesnih crkava, da se one ne vezuju za naciju, nego da možda predstavljaju jedan geografski pojam, kao što je to, čini mi se, drevna praksa. Dakle, šta bi to onda krupno trebalo da se desi, u kojoj mjeri da izazove takav refleks pravoslavne crkve?
It's very difficult to see what exactly can replace this nationalist ethnic divisions of the Orthodox churches.
Veoma je teško prepoznati šta bi to bilo što bi moglo da zameni ovu nacionalističku ili da prevaziđe ovu nacionalističku i etničku podjelu unutar pravoslavlja.
There have been efforts in North America to bring together all the Serbs and Romanians and Russians and everybody else who's Orthodox.
Bilo je pokušaja u Severnoj Americi da se ujedine Srbi, Romani, Bugari, Rusi, kogod je pravoslavan.
I hear from bishops who were there before and after 1989 that somewhat before 89 they were getting closer to a patriarchate of North America.
Koliko čujemo od episkopa koji su na teritoriji Kanade i Severne Amerike bili pre pada zavese, njihov utisak je da su pre pada zavese bili bliže ili bili blizu tome da stvore nešto što bi bila patrijaršija, recimo, Severne Amerike.
But then after 1989, when new waves of Eastern Europeans came to North America, they expected the church to serve as some sort of cultural ethnic center.
Ali, nažalost, nakon pada zavese, kada su novi talasi istočnih Evropljana došli na tle Severne Amerike, oni su od svoje crkve imali očekivanja da ona služi kao nekakav nacionalni servis i centar, između ostalog.
In a way, the Roman Catholic Church went through something similar in the 19th century.
Na neki način i Rimokatolička crkva prošla je kroz nešto slično u 19. veku.
You had in North America Irish Catholics, Italian Catholics, Spanish Catholics.
U Severnoj Americi postojali su, na primjer, irski, italijanski ili španski katolici.
And this was a moment that was the Catholic Church went beyond that.
Ali, dakle, to je bio jedan trenutak koji je Rimokatolička crkva prevazišla.
But with immigration, usually people want to find a place to go to and ask some questions. So if you're Spanish, you want to go to the Spanish Catholic Church, Latino Catholic Church in North America, for example.
Ali stvar sa emigracijom je prosto takva da ako već emigriraš, onda kad odeš u crkvu želiš da postaviš neka pitanja i da si u kontekstu koji ti je blizak. Na primjer, Španci vole da ode u neku latinsku katoličku crkvu, latino.
And for the Orthodox, it's probably even more difficult because there is this division, national division, more so present in the mother churches than for the Catholic Church.
A za pravoslavne je to još kompleksnije zato što je kod njih prosto jača ta nacionalistička podjela nego što je to slučaj kod katolika.
So for the time being, I personally, I don't see what the next step will be.
Tako da za sada ja ne vidim šta bi se to desilo i šta bi to moglo biti što bi promenilo ovo u pravcu u kome ste naznačili. Hvala. Evo, pri kraju smo, odnosno mislim da nema više potrebe da postavljamo pitanja, a pre nego što se rastanemo, obratit će vam se u okviru, da tako kažemo, ceremonije zatvaranja ovog simpozijona još 2 govornika. Prvo, po blagoslovu vladike Dimitrija, donekle možemo već reći tradicionalno, obratit će nam se čovjek koji ovdje više možda nema neku formalnu funkciju, ali je i dalje po mnogo čemu pokrovitelj i otac ovog simpozijona i svih nas, to je vladika Grigorije.
First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to renowned Professor Tucescu for accepting the invitation to be a speaker at our symposium and for presenting the lecture on religion and Europe after the fall of the Iron Curtain. As citizens of the country that has been directly affected by the 1989 historic event, I hope we all have found it quite enlightening to hear about the positions the churches in Central and Eastern Europe and Russia have taken in the aftermath of the fall of the Berlin Wall on various issues ranging from nationalism and religion, religious education, public schools to democracy. Dear Professor Tucescu, thank you again, and we hope you enjoy your stay in Trebinje. Drage braće i sestre, hvala vam puno što ste učestvovali na još jednoj gozbi duhovnoj kakav je bio ovaj simpozijum i što simpozijum u stvari, kao što svi dobro znate, i znači. I ove godine dogodilo se to da smo mogli da čujemo različita mišljenja i ove godine je bilo važno da ne dolazimo sa osjećajem da se neko s nama mora slagati ili da se mi s nekim moramo slagati. To je karakteristika ovog simpozijuma zato što smo ga mi tako zamislili. Kao što smo malo pre čuli, ljudi su i Evropsku uniju zamislili na jednim temeljima, a ona sad ide u drugom pravcu i zato je vrlo važno da se uvijek posjećamo kako smo i zašto smo nešto zamislili. Naravno da ljudi koji se s tom našom zamišlju ne slažu, oni imaju mogućnost da ne budu na ovom simpozijumu i tu mogućnost vrlo uspješno koriste. Zato mi koji mislimo da svako ima pravo da kaže šta misli i da mi imamo pravo da mislimo, mi smo tu bili svih ovih dana. Ja jedino nisam bio na jutrošnjoj sesiji i žao mi je zbog toga, ali ima jedna dobra stvar, moći ću to da pogledam na video i na onom što su ovi dobri ljudi snimili. Ja vjerujem da će, kao što uvijek biva, završetak sutra na svetoj liturgiji pokazati koliko smo se mi ovih dana obogatili samima nama, a i onima koji su oko nas i sa kojima ćemo se sretati u narednim danima. Primijetio sam nekoliko divnih stvari, osim što su ljudi koje smo pozvali i ovaj put pokazali i odgovornost za riječ i veliku pamet i dobru volju. Primijetio sam da postoji jedna neobično važna mogućnost za nas ovde, a to je da dovodeći takve ljude kao što je na primjer profesor Tučesku i mi koji smo vjerovatno najslobodniji od svih pravoslavnih hrišćana u pogledu slušanja nečeg tuđeg mišljenja, doživljavamo jedan blagi šok. Jer mi smo ipak naučili da neko na nas viče, da nas neko nešto ubjeđuje, da neko na nečemu insistira, da neko nešto hoće da nam utuvi u glavu i onda kad dođe neko ko to neće, mi njega gledamo sa jednim izvjesnim strahom i nepovjerenjem. Ali ja mislim da je najbolja stvar baš u tome što možemo da vidimo da postoje ljudi koji se ne nameću, a opet pametni su i imaju šta da nas nauče. Vi koji ste bili svih ovih dana, neki su od vas bili na svim predavanjima, neki na nekim, neki koji su bili već su otišli, ste u velikoj mjeri zaslužni za uspjeh ovog simposiona i u tom smislu možete da se smatrate jednako kao i predavači učesnicima u njemu. Iako nismo svi postavljali pitanja, dakle ne samo oni koji su postavljali pitanja, nego kao i oni koji nisu postavljali pitanja, bili su učesnici. I to je, ja mislim, još jedan element koji je vrlo bitan, da čovjek postaje dio nečega, bilo na koji način, samo ako ima dobru volju. A biti dio ovakve jedne gozbe ili učestvovati u njoj na bilo koji način, ja iskreno mislim da je privilegija. Na kraju, želim da kažem da sam srećan što vladika Dimitrije, kao čovjek koji je nedavno postao episkop, imao hrabrosti da nastavi ono što smo mi započeli, jer je on, kako je sam rekao na početku ovog našeg simpoziona, ovdje došao zbog slobode i radi slobode i bilo bi sasvim čudno da nije imao slobode da nastavi ovo naše djelo. Bez obzira na sve pritiske koji su vidljivi ili nevidljivi i na njega i na sve nas, vrlo je važno da imamo slobodu, da se borimo za slobodu. A boriti se za slobodu znači ne samo oslobađati druge, nego oslobađamo tako sebe. I mi možemo da kažemo da još jednog slobodnog episkopa imamo u crkvi, a to je velika stvar. Hvala vam puno.
Hvala vladiki Grigore na ovim rečima i na samom kraju u ime domaćina još jednom će vas pozdraviti i skup zvanično zatvoriti predsjednik ili direktor, nikako to ne mogu da zapamtim, Centra za filozofiju i teologiju, otac Vladan Perišić.
Samo kratko. Marko i ja smo pomenuti kao oni koji su se trudili oko ovoga. Nepravedno bi bilo izostaviti, na primjer, našeg Andreja Jeftića. Potom, recimo, oca Nikicu Ajdera, Vladu Ružića, Đakona Vladu Vukanovića, da pomenem samo neke od onih koji su se u pozadini trudili da sve ovo ovako lijepo ispadne. Zahvaljujem se i gospođi Branki Sarić, direktorki ovog kulturnog centra, koja nam svake godine ustupi ovako divnu salu. Zahvaljujem se i medijima koji su propratili ovo dešavanje. Šta da kažem, zahvalnost dugujemo prije svega zaista Vladici Grigoriju koji je sve ovo prije 6 godina pokrenuo, pa je i ovog puta doputovao iz Nemačke samo da bi bio zajedno s nama. A ne manje zahvalnost dugujemo i episkopu Dimitriju koji je sa puno entuzijazma nastavio da kao pokrovitelj brine o ovom skupu. Zahvaljujem se učesnicima na zanimljivim i kvalitetnim prezentacijama od kojih smo svi mogli da naučimo, a to i jeste valjda svrha ovog skupa. Zahvaljujem se svim posjetiocima, kao i uvijek bili ste divna publika. Hvala svima i želim vam prijatan ostatak boravka u našem Trebinju. Samo jedno obaveštenje, sutra je liturgija u 9 sati. Hvala i prijatno.